Hey, good morning, everybody. I almost said good afternoon. I actually slept last night for the first full night in a while, so feel way better this morning. Of course, now I'm at that phase of the illness where garbage just comes out of your sinuses. So, you know, 20 minutes into the day, I drove to Chick-fil-A, got coffee and goodies for the house, and I was like, I need a hot shower because I need to clear out a little bit. So I hope everyone's doing well. Let's see who is in the chat. Mr. Morgan, hello, hello. Um, Candy Dugetts, Watson, please send goats. I really need goats on my next property so that the corgis can do what they're supposed to do, which is chase goats. Unfortunately, I don't think they'd know what to do, so they would just lay there and watch the goat, which probably would not be what I wanted. Prep Rebel, good morning from SoCal. Hello, hey Rapture, I missed you there. Thought I was going to have drink my coffee with the dogs and cats. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Survival Preppers, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? And oh, then Nightbot is back. Okay, so I made adjustments to Nightbot, so he should not be chasing people out so much. Um, Part of the reason I instituted the Nightbot was everyone's busy, and I feel bad because I know a lot of the mods are super tied up. I'm tied up. I mod for some folks, and like I can barely make it when I do. So, but Nightbot went on a tear the first. It was kind of comical. Although Joe Morgan, I have to admit, he had an absolute blast taunting the robot to see if he could provoke it. I think you got someone else kicked out. Um, but yeah, hold on. Let's see. It's nice to be back home where I belong and back in the live stream. So that's good. You know, it's funny when I was growing up, you know, when you're a kid, right? You want to go places and see new things. And, I'd hear my dad be like, I want to sleep in my own bed. And I was like, no, I want to sleep in the dirt. But now at, the age I'm at and my tenure in the world and the things I've done, I'm like, no, I'd rather be on my own couch or my own bed. Um, it's just you can pay $20 a ticket to go to the theater and sit and couch, even those fancy theaters with the seats. And hey, Mind for Survival, welcome. And and then pay for like $10 popcorn and $5 sodas. And if you're getting alcohol, forget it. That just gets expensive at the theater. Or you can go home, pay, $20 a month in Netflix, put on Lord of the Rings, whatever the hell you want, King Kong, and open your own damn beer and make your own popcorn. And if you want to joke or get up and go pee or fart, you can pause it and go pee and come back and didn't miss the movie. Uh, yeah, I'm a big fan of movie night at the house now. So 9 mil to well, yeah, it's it's a lot of dollars now, and stuff's expensive. Mine for survival, hola, and wait, rescue's in here. Rescue! Oh, I gotta send you, doggone it, gun show stuff in Texas. I swore I'd send it to Lee and Redleg, and then I forgot because I wasn't feeling good. So I'm going to email this to Rescue. I think I have Rescue's email. Damn it, no, I don't. All right, I'll get it to. I'll have to look it up, buddy. I'll get it to you though. Um, in any case, hey Dominic, good morning. Good morning. I haven't been to movies since before COVID. We went to one to see the new Top Gun movie because we just got bored of the house. And we're like, my wife and I are sitting there, we got these little Jack and Coke slushy for her. And I don't remember what the hell I got. I got some little mixed drink and popcorn and a little pizza. And halfway through the movie, she's like, I really like the movie, but we could have just ordered Domino's and you pick up like a bottle of rum on the way home and a 6 pack of soda, and we could be on our couch. And then if we fall asleep, who gives a damn? So, um, I have to see the new one. Actually, Joe, I just read the book. The last time I read parts of the book was in high school, which was a long time ago, and I actually started reading classics again. So let's see, other than the Wesley Rawls books, which you all are familiar with, and One Second After, which you guys all know, um, I read The Grapes of Wrath, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Animal Farm again. I've read Animal Farm several times because every time I read it, I learn something new. But I did reread All Quiet on the Western Front. It's the first time I read it from one end to the other. And because in high school, it was like I read chapters, but you kind of blow through it. And hey, militant, what's going on? And with the kids every other week, now we're going to do game night instead. Hmm. No, for sure. Uh, and it's funny because my kids are all young adults now. So, when I go visit my daughter in Austin, and especially if it's just her and I, like her fiance is traveling for business and like the wife is doing her convention thing and it's just me and my daughter, I'll be like, "Want to go get drinks?" And that don't twist my child's arm, right? She's like, "Hell yeah." And next thing we found the corner with a pizza and beer and we're cursing at a TV. And then nobody knows where the two of us have gone. So it's fun when you get to a point in your life where and I told my kids this, I wasn't your friend when you were little. I was your dad. And I loved you and I guided you and I taught you and I corrected you when you were wrong. But I did that to make you a functional adult so that now that you are an adult, I am no longer your keeper. I am your benevolent advisor. And now we can be friends because I raised you as a father. I don't know if that makes sense. I may have said it wrong. I said it was much more eloquent when I said it to her. But you guys, you know what? I forgot to change my subscribe. Damn it. Nightbot has no spelling. That has been a large point of humor is Nightbot. Subscribe. It's apparently the Austrian version of Nightbot. Nightbot spelling. I got like my list of things to do today. So there's a gun show, there's a silver and coin trade show at the gun show. So this should be very fun. Um, hey, good morning, Keitha. And actually, that's not a bad idea. You save money. You can also go on Amazon and look for used books. When I did my MBA, I think I bought one new book because I could find it nowhere, and it was basically like it had come out that year. But every other textbook I bought was secondhand. I saved a boatload of money. Tennessee Tactical. How you been, man? Each one to explain a similar ideal with them. Yeah. And now the Precious is at the it is. So speaking of that, you guys have seen Lord of the Rings, right? You have the original movies with the king and Orlando Bloom plays the elf, and it has not Bilbo, his nephew, Frodo, and this Smeagol. He goes, "They're precious," and he hisses at people. And the other day there was a meth head at the mall, and he was just doing meth head things like the and the security guy's like, "Hey, you can't." And it was a big security guy. Like, "Hey, you can't be here. Go. Either sit down or go over there. You can't go here and start flapping around like a freaked out bird." And he the guy hissed at the security guard. "Ah!" And the security guard's face was priceless. And this was not a small man. The meth head must have weighed like 98 pounds. And this was a big Spanish guy. I mean, and I'm a big guy, but he was big to me. He was just this big boy, and he goes, "Orale, no, if you don't go over there, I'm going to make you go. Don't be a pendejo, go." And he said something to him in Spanish, and so you see, I guess at some level, the drug head kind of computed that he was being told to leave. So he goes, "Hmm." Turns around and you know how cats kick their feet when they're done with the litter box? He does the litter box to the guard and then walks away and sits under a tree somewhere. And the guard's like, God, and his face, I wish I'd have recorded this. Um, and I can only imagine being like an EMT nowadays or a cop. Because I remember as a kid, they were still getting heroin and LSD after the Vietnam War was all over the streets. And, I'd be playing Star Wars with my little friends, and here comes a guy running down the street, right down the middle, two cops running after him. Ambulance with the lights on behind the cops because they know they're going to have to put him in an ambulance. And we were like, whoa, drugs, and now it's just everywhere. It's pretty awful. Um, the Lord of the Rings is actually really. I got up on the new UFO, didn't see a single story. So actually, Tennessee, I do have something about it. Um, no, that's not it, and that's not it. Yeah, you're talking about the one they shot down immediately. Like they were like, because the balloon was way higher, and they went, "Hey, independent Manny. Hey, Angie. No thanks." Oh yeah, I can't. I mean, there's weirdness for me as a civilian. Like I'm an engineer, and I try to observe shit because that's what we do, right? We kind of take in the surroundings and solve problems. And I'm like, man, the only way I could solve that is water hose or pepper spray or something, duct tape. Um, no, I have something to that. Damn it. I opened it and I may have closed the window because I was gonna um aircraft, where was it? How did I find it? By the way, it was not on. Okay. Oh yeah, somebody actually. Okay, here it is. Yeah, you would. Let me pull that up because that's a good. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Hang on a second here, my peoples. Share screen. There's no audio on this one, guys. So at least I don't think there is. All right. Yeah. So what concerns me is on the North Slope, Alaska. We have very prolific oil and gas reserves. Very prolific, which was part of what the Keystone Pipeline was supposed to be about. Was we have the Canadian has the Canadian tar sands, which are very weird to deal with. But then there's the reserves in Alaska that pipe through Canada because Canada and the U.S. work together on that, and Canada takes some, and then the rest goes to the U.S. of A. It actually winds up in Oklahoma and Texas, where it gets rerouted and refined, and then off it goes elsewhere. Um, Experienced pilot calls size of unknown. This is one of them, TT. It's not the one I wanted. Um, but this one was flying lower, as Rescue rightly points out. 40,000 feet, most airlines are operating, 30, 35,000 feet. This was close enough where it could have been a collision risk. The balloon was way high. Planes can go that high, but it was almost in a suborbital place. It was like at that fringe of atmosphere and space. But let's see. For the second time in less than a week, U.S. fighter jets have shot down an object illegally flying within U.S. airspace. White House officials said Friday that the aircraft was flying over Alaska, posing a threat to other aircraft. While officials are only identifying the object shot down as an unmanned craft, Randy Reeb, an experienced F 15 pilot, says the size of the object And the suspected Chinese balloon that was shot down is what he finds interesting. In modern times, the opportunity to see drones in the air is not uncommon. What you're seeing that's unusual is the size of these unmanned vehicles that are transient in our airspace. The suspected spy balloon was the size of bus, but it's a balloon, right? The latest aircraft was shot down was about the size of a car. Both aircraft were defined as unmanned. By definition, they are drone. Reap also said aircraft was likely picked up on radar entering U.S. airspace. Uh, so the Canadians and the Alaska Command both picked up on it. Let's see what this dude says, or if this is just a stupid animation. Hey, FSP, what's going on? Let me know if you off it.
For the second time, U.S. fighter shot an object illegally flying within a post threat to the Pentagon after seeing a local pilot with experience patrolling our airspace.
Joint pilot is local defense attorney Randy Reap. He says he's an experienced F-15 fighter pilot who knows a lot about intercepting suspicious aircraft. While Pentagon officials are only identifying the object shot down over Alaska as an unmanned aircraft, former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot Randy Reap says the size of that object and the suspected Chinese balloon that was shot down this past weekend is what he finds interesting.
In modern time, the opportunity to see drones in the air is not uncommon. What you're seeing is unusual is the size of these unmanned vehicles that are transiting in our airspace.
The suspected spy balloon that was shot down was the size of 3 buses. Pentagon officials say latest aircraft. Reap says that those aircraft, and by definition, they are both drones. Reap also says the aircraft was likely aerospace. Commonly known as NORAD for short, there are air defense and intercept procedures in place to deal with aircraft that illegally fly into U.S. and Canadian airspace. The U.S. and Canada are both surrounded by an Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ for short. The pilot of any aircraft wishing to fly in or through the boundary must first get permission. Any aircraft flying through the zone without authorization is considered a threat and treated as an enemy aircraft. This is what led to that aircraft being intercepted by fighter jet over Alaska. Reap says in this latest incident, the term unknown rider was likely declared because intercepting fighter pilots likely tried to communicate with the craft but got no response. This, of course, led to the craft being shot down.
They would not employ ordnance against this until they knew that it was an unmanned vehicle.
That unmanned aircraft was also considered a threat to other aircraft because it was traveling at an altitude of 40,000 feet.
40,000 feet is a place where many modern jet operate. So that is a threat.
Pentagon officials won't say how fast that aircraft was traveling, but Reap says if it was picked up on radar, they know the speed and they likely know what kind of unmanned aircraft it was, especially if the intercepting fighter pilot got close enough to get a visual. He says those details will likely be released at a later date. Reporting live in the studio, Eric Avengate, Channel 4, the station.
So that's I got to tell you, that's kind of concerning. And Vision will be on at 1300, so 1 o'clock ish, depending how the trip goes to see the family. So they knew, or they. So from what I'm hearing through some folks who are still in, it's the typical procedure is they would have, once they picked it up, and they probably picked it up outside of our airspace or defense zone, right? And they watched it, and then it slowly meandered. My neighbor's little dog is pooping in my yard. I should send the corgis to kick his ass. But they would actually mess up that little dog. Like, that would be terrible. I need to set an air horn on my tree with a remote control so when the dog's and send it running. Anyway, little turd of a dog. Anyway, Well, that's what they're saying. So they said it was unmanned. So they probably picked it up. He said they would have picked it up outside of the AZID, the defensive zone. Once it breached, they would have scrambled Raptors or whatever aircraft. That one was probably going to wind up being regular Air Force, and then put the Air National Guard's CAP or Combat Air Patrols on standby to back up the Air Force. So Air Force would have gone out. Air National Guard would have been five by five on the deck, and they would have gone and circled and investigated it, and they would have pinged it. He said they'll ping it actively with radar. So they'll make a pass quietly to detect, and then they ping it. And the whole idea is if it was a manned aircraft, it gets pinged. And you'll, like, if I'm in an aircraft, the modern fighters, I'm going to get pinged by a radar. I'm going to be notified by my computer. You're being pinged. You're being tracked. And so they pinged it and no response. And then they did a flyby, but they don't tell us what the device was, what the hell was flying around. And then they probably kept meandering, and they ultimately decided, okay, now it's in, because think about it, when you fly from the US to say Japan, you don't go across the Pacific, right? That's a long way across the equator. You actually go north almost toward the poles and come back down. That's, believe it or not, a shorter route around the planet, right? Because remember, the Earth is a little bit of an oval. That thing was getting to the altitude, it was going to start interfering with commercial aviation, is probably what happened. Or it got by something nobody liked, and they're like, all right, we're not, that's enough of this fuckery, and they went and shot its ass down. Uh, oh, for sure. Correct. So, hey, Off the Wall, welcome. And yeah, so those, don't send Bentley. Bentley'd knock the child down. He'd go right for the kid. Like, they have a little boy out there, he'd just go and sack the child, run off with his shoe. So yeah, apparently they never got a response, and they communicated to it. And then what the guy said is spot on. They ultimately will, they're going to splash it. Now they have to go find it. Hey, Deuce, welcome. Doing good, doing better now. I had flurona or some shit last week, so now I sound a little less awful. Possibly. Well, you think about it. Before Russia invaded Ukraine, right? Remember, like, for the last 3 years, we were all talking about it. They go up to the borders with a bunch of troops. Oh, never mind. We're just training, and then they leave. Then 3 months later, they move 50,000 guys, and Ukraine would get all puffed up. Never mind. We're just training, and they'd leave, and they'd keep coming in and out. And all of a sudden, they just kept going, right? They just showed up, and boom, they went into Ukraine. We're seeing the same thing here. They're doing it to Taiwan. They keep probing Taiwan's air defense area. And I think what they're trying to do is normalize the behavior, where it's like plane, drone, balloon, balloon, drone, plane, balloon, drone. And we keep chasing them around. And at some point, it suddenly turns the other way or does something. Because I heard Insulik is operational. It had some damage, but they're actually providing Blackhawks to support the Turkish rescue. But last I heard, the bases there are functional and secure. They probably have a mess, but the helos were operational. I think the aircraft are operational too. So, but yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, that's exactly right, Pilgrim. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, uh, and yeah, and we don't know. Erdogan has his own whole little agenda going on there, but this should have been. So I don't know if the balloon, they kind of were watching it to see what was going on, and then it kind of became obnoxious and they shot it down after the fact. But whatever this thing was, so apparently the president wants to shoot everything down, right? Which sounds like an angry old man. He's like, shoot it down. But the Air Force told him not to shoot the balloon down. So I'm wondering if they were collecting information from that stupid balloon, or they were learning something. But then this thing, that's basically what's happening. This, whatever this was at an altitude that it was dangerous to aircraft. And yeah, well, at least that's what the media says. Yeah, exactly. But in any case, the Air Force was like, no, this needs to go away. And now keep in mind, it may not be Chinese. It could be Russian. We don't know. Russia has a lot of interest in the Arctic Circle because of oil, gas. There's minerals and other stuff there. What? 11 months. Well, yeah, for sure, too, right? Regardless of what it is, if it's at an altitude that can cause a problem, they need to, and that's the end of that. So, but Tennessee, thank you for bringing that up, because the one I was originally going to show you guys. Let's see if I can share that screen again. I do not think there's a video. This one I couldn't. I don't know why they show a Harrier jet. Didn't they retire these things? Anyway, the U.S. Air Force was quick to respond to a UFO. I like the size of a car flying over the glass after the recent threat to civilian aircraft. Fighter jets tried to study the object. Okay, as it flew nearly 40,000 feet in the air and was eventually shot down by an F-22 using an AIM-9X. Any signs of man crew members, nor did it have any fruity. So surely it's verbal because the damn thing, like, knucklehead says, hold on, there is a video in here. Let me see if we can, hang on. Okay. Stink. May not let me today, guys. We'll see. Yeah, I see that.
Object.
Okay. All right, let's see if we can. Thank you, Off the Wall. Yeah, I could see it on my screen too. Let's see if we can do that again. And you guys can watch.
The White House confirmed down what they described as Alaska. 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable of floods. So, of the Pentagon, President Biden ordered the military to take it down.
And we don't understand the full purpose. We don't have any information that would confirm a stated purpose for this object. We do expect to be able to recover the debris since it fell not only in frozen water, so a recovery effort will be made.
While the military is still trying to figure out what it is, no, it did not have a significant payload like the recent Chinese spy balloon, which was carrying equipment about the size of 3 buses. Straight from DC, I'm Ray Bogan.
yeah, so they're doing something. They're probably and they don't know who it belongs to, right? It could be the Chinese, it could be the Russians, right? It would come from that same general area. So yeah, it's weird. Uh it's weird that these things are all happening in a sequence. Again, I would go to Ukraine. Russia approached and left. They did maneuvers. There was a lot of hand waving around, and all of a sudden, in one of these exercises, they just kept going and went right into Ukraine. By the same token, are we witnessing that here? An incursion, a balloon, a drone, this, that, the other, and all of a sudden, look, I'm not sure if the balloon could carry a nuke suitable for an EMP. It could probably carry something small enough to do damage somehow, but something the size of a car, like the payload's a car, and we were from my other video, I was estimating that the payload under that balloon was actually 100 feet, maybe, based on the photographs. That's big enough to carry something significant. Who's to say that one of these things is not going to come in and EMP something or explode or deploy some horse shit and cause problems? So we don't know. No, and yeah. Well, and then you have tweaker Biden over there is in trouble with a bunch of shit and making his old man look bad. So yeah, you never so depending on the power, again, because uranium-238 has a really high molecular weight, but definitely a non-balloon the size of a car, uh, that could carry some kind of ordnance, even if all it did was carry, small explosives to disrupt an airfield, right? Or blow up a oil pipeline. You don't need very much, right? You need maybe 20, 30 pounds of, RDX or something, and you drop it, and there goes the pipeline. Now you've created a mess, and while everyone's wondering what the hell happened to this mess, you do something else. Its preparedness is a lot of uh, 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 airspace, and you don't know. So yeah, I meant don't want the Borg to target me. There you go. Made a 48-pound backpack. Okay. Now, the one I had looked at was about 150 pounds. But even so, um, you don't need a 100-foot, you know, payload container can most definitely carry something of significance. Uh, so this one came up, and this one I found interesting because apparently, while we were shooting down that contraption, this happened, and I didn't realize this. This is from BBC. I just thought it was interesting. Let's see if it. Sorry.
We do expect to be able to cover debris.
So, yeah, exactly. It's possible. It's possible. There's something not right. I've never heard of this many incursions. It's not uncommon for the Russian bombers, like a couple of times a year, they fly around the water near Alaska, and the Air National Guard goes and chases them away, and then they come back a month later, and they basically it's the kids in the playground going, "I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you." But to blatantly enter airspace, that's not something you hear often. And even when it's a manned aircraft, right? They kind of go into the air zone. The fighter planes show up and they're like, "Hey, we just wanted to make you get out of bed." And then they just kind of they meander away. This shit's making incursions. We had a balloon go over a maelstrom and hang out, and then go over a few other things. What are we doing? What is happening? Um, they do have a very distinct sound, by the way. Um, wait, what happened? Oh no. Did off the wall maybe caps or something? I don't know. Yeah, I've been trying to make Nightbot be nice, and he's nicer, but he's not being very nice. I'm gonna have to finagle that. Hey, His Amazing Grace. Hello. Airspace is important. Satellites. Yeah, there's something going on. It's almost like they're trying to normalize this behavior. And honestly, I think unless there's an outstanding reason not to, I think every freaking time something goes through our airspace and starts making threats or becomes a pain in the ass, they should shoot it the hell down. So that at least the answer is consistent. If you keep going into my airspace, I will keep shooting down your shit. Hold on a second here. I'm trading my coffee for my water. Uh, if you keep poking at my airspace, I'm going to shoot you down. And hey, Mad Shad, welcome, welcome. Okay, probably timed him out for too many. I every now and then, and part of the reason Nightbot does that is because you ever notice when the Russian bots or the sex bots or the drug bot, whatever the whole little bot invades, they throw all caps and emojis. So the little robot's looking for that and going, you must be a bot, and kicks him out. But yeah, I think it's when I have mods, I probably could put Nightbot into the more subscribe to my YouTube mode and not beating people up mode. Yeah. And we should be up in arms. There should be congressional hearings about this shit. They need to find out who the other flying car UFO thing belonged to. And if they find out that this is country, i.e. the PRC, there needs to be sense. Like, we need to stop this crap. I mean, it's all, hey, what's up, kill it and grill it. It's all fun and games until they, set off a nuke or contaminate something, and then what? Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Apparently, they did have a hearing. Okay, let me see if I can share this one. So let's see if we can get the audio on this one going. Let me know if you can hear it.
Determining where we will take a shot in people who are fighting against us. Way to zero ability of collateral damage when we that time. All not as a habit. At that time, if we shot that, what would on the ground? ultimately maybe a 20-mile ground. We wouldn't do that. Or in this case, certainly
to do so had three benefits. First, it gave us additional time to observe the balloon, PRC's capabilities and trade.
Okay, let me see if I can get.
take a shot in combat when we're fighting. When we're fighting.
Is that better?
And we work our way to a zero probability of collateral damage when we take that shot. Although is in places not as inhabited as the place it is inhabited, and at the time we stand through the model. What it by 20-mile piece of ground without being able to clear. We will do things in conditions we certainly did other Americans throughout the flight path.
Waiting to do three benefits. Gave PRC's capabilities. We bid against intelligence collection. We knew the balloon was. Second.
Okay, some of you can hear it and some of you can't. Okay, so anyway, I sent it. You guys, I'll put the link, and this is their justification. Said Senate subcommittee hearing Homeland Security and military chiefs were while being shot down in South Carolina. The administration lawmakers guiding to defense officials have stressed the desire to avoid a risk to civilians on the ground from falling debris. So a key element of the administration's calculus was to postpone shooting down the spy balloon, resting upon the goal of avoiding undue risk to civilians on the ground. This is Susan Collins from Maine. However, it defies belief that there was not a single opportunity to safely shoot down this balloon prior to the coast of South Carolina. By the administration's logic, we should allow the Chinese to fly surveillance balloons over the Pentagon or other suspected areas, sensitive areas. And then Assistant Defense Secretary Melissa Dalton noted the balloon itself was 200 feet tall with a jet liner size. Anyway, in any case, tried to put the link, but it would not let me do it. So yeah, I guess maybe they realized somehow it wasn't a bomb or anything, and they're like, okay, well, let's see what it does. I'm not sure. I really don't know. That's but it is weird. It is seriously weird. And you know, we don't have answers. But why did it get into our airspace in the first place? Many United, great name. It is actually. I've seen a lot of good tags out here. It's weird. It's just strange. And I think it was Rapture or the Watchman pointed out in the chat. I lost the chat. That we need to have less dependence on certain countries. You know, being dependent with Canada or Germany or a nation we trade with, they are allies, right? The UK. But we're dependent on countries that hate our asses. So I don't know. I don't know the logic here, guys. I can't speak to it, but it is weird. It's just odd. Why we're allowing these things to happen. This was something that would have resulted in generals being sacked in the Cold War. Like generals would have lost their job because that was their job, to keep those kind of things out of our country. And yet, it's possible. We don't know. Uh, yeah. Again, these continuous probing efforts, and Off the Walls talked about it. I know Tennessee's brought it up. A lot of you guys who or girls who create online have been mentioning it. Um, unless they're hoping they do something. Oh, let's set LA on fire. Oh, now we can go and bomb you. Like, are they allowing it so that the sacrifice can be the justification? I don't know. It's kind of like the battleship that blew up in Havana Harbor that prompted the Spanish American War. It made no sense for Spain to blow up any of our shit. But a gunboat blows up, and the US was like, oh, well, we're going to go now invade and take Puerto Rico and run you out of Cuba and all this other stuff. So, nope. Yeah. Well, you should not let countries that are a security risk buy farms outside of our big airfields and Air Force bases in Texas. Like, who the hell made that logic? If Elon or Bill Gates, I'm not a fan of Bill Gates, but if those monkeys went and bought property, I'd be at least, well, at least she's technically an American. We don't know who the hell's buying the shit, what they're watching. I don't know. It's frustrating because in another day and age, generals would have been fired. They would have freaking censured the president for not doing his job. That's his biggest purpose as the leader of this country, as the elected official who's supposed to represent this nation. His job is to keep our airspace safe so that Americans and our friends and visitors are not in danger from assholes. Right at 25 miles, Lee. Well, and to your point, if that happened, and it was determined that China did it, they would have a whole like 7 minutes before every sub we have hiding in the Pacific started throwing tomahawks and ICBMs on them. Like, there would be no Beijing. A lot of these major cities would be glass by the end of that next 48 hours. They wouldn't even exist. And that would be ugly because then that garbage would go and fly over like Japan and the Philippines and contaminate our friends too. Right. And in all seriousness, no, for sure. And again, this is the kind of stuff we need to understand what's going on. And it's part of it is because I'm pissed off right now. I'll be honest with you. I've got two sons in uniform. I've got friends and a brother, all of whom could possibly be recalled if something pops off. So to me, it's personal because people I love could wind up in shit. And people who are friends of mine. But it's also to inform you and myself, it helps all of us to kind of go through it. You guys get to ask those questions so that and whatever other toys we have. Because we're retiring some subs, but we never retire anything unless we have something new to take its place. So what else do we have floating around the water doing things that we don't know about? They have their toys, but we do have ours. Um, but is playing Biden. You can't play a guitar if the strings are broken or it's out of tune. Then it just sucks. Which is pretty much what we have here is like, if China's trying to play him, it's like cling, clong, clong, and they can't help Hunter because Hunter doesn't know how to open the door right because crack is whack for that one. But Pilgrim, exactly. So but this is good stuff for us to understand because stuff like this was like, okay, so what if it was a telecommunications attack of some type or an EMP, whatever it may have been? What if the thing that came through Alaska was going after the pipeline? So if it hits the pipeline, say, what's the first thing that'll happen when you have a stock market freak out and the price of fuel will go up, right? So that's going to dictate certain things that I do. We do preps, right? So we prep our food, we prep our clothing or equipment, whatever. But we also course correct, right? If something new turns up on the radar, that's when you say, "Oh, this is interesting. This is a change." Or sometimes, to Tennessee's point, when you hear about something and you think, "Holy cow, that's serious," and they say nothing in most of the media, that tells me a lot too. That tells me a boatload. And by the way, you saw that picture of where the airplane was going. There was a marker called Prudhoe Bay. Prudhoe Bay is one of our most prolific offshore drilling areas in North America. You look it up, it's public knowledge. Massive reserves out there. Massive. What were they looking at? The Air Force Base? The drilling rigs? The pipeline? The refinery? Yeah. So again, this kind of stuff, and you hear this kind of stuff, and you understand how these things are interconnected. It kind of gives you extra information to say, okay, well, do I want to buy more rice or should I be thinking solar generator? You start. It gives you a little course correction. At the end of the day, any intelligent prep is a good one. Anything that helps you persevere some kind of hardship is good. Hell, you could just lose your job tomorrow, right? God forbid. Someone in your family could have an accident. That could be an SHTF all by itself. You can't foresee that, but every step you take, right? If you have food, you have generators, you have all sorts of goodies, well, those same preps can be used for an unemployment situation for a couple of months while you find a new job, right? So it can be something as generic as job loss or, God forbid, an accident. But if someone goes and blows up pipelines or does some other shit and it's nefarious, guess what? It works for that too. So yeah, you guys definitely use this as information. A Clinton could return. Possibly. North Korea is going to. Wait, what was that? Okay, I lost that. True. North Korea is fully protected. Well, they've done it before, Watchmen. Yeah, see? At the very least, it's protection against inflation. If you can grow your own tomatoes, now you don't have to buy the damn tomatoes. You are now self-sufficient of tomatoes. If you can put chickens back there, now you have eggs. Guess what? Now you're not paying for expensive bougie eggs because you have your own damn eggs. So yeah, every little thing you do can help you. South Korea would be, if they went after South Korea, that would be ugly. Yeah. Well, my youngest son had just come from there, and he said some of those rock guys, some of them were comedians, but he said there were some teams that he was like, I want those guys with us if these fuckers roll over or across the border. Klingon Princess, buenos dias. Then there's no shame in sleeping in. It is Saturday. The dogs decided that they wanted to choose violence at 4:45 this morning. I ran them out and then ran them back to bed. But then I was awake, and I'm one of those people, like, once I'm up, unless I'm really tired, I'm like, all right, now I want coffee. Now I need breakfast, and then it's just the day begins. So, hold on. Good. And they should do that. If they knew, it would make. All they need to do is take the power out in New York. Honestly, you wanna. Oh, what was the movie? Hold on. I want to leave you with a fun one, and I can't play it because I've tried it before, and uh, it's an old Twilight Zone. I might be able to at least play part of it. Hang on just a second, my friends. Um, it is, yes. Is that it? Oh, that's the new version. Hang on. Okay. Will the real Martian please stand up? Okay. I believe it's called. You on the Street. Play. Um, I try to play stuff like that. So, the monsters are due on Maple Street, but I can't find the full version. Uh, who? Russia or Taiwan? Oh, Japan. So Japan has changed their constitution to where they can build an offensive force for the purpose of preemptively protecting their island. So technically, it's defensive. But the Japanese, if we learned anything from World War II, are hellaciously good sailors, and they have a good understanding of naval warfare, which China does not like, because Japan has repeatedly spanked China and Russia. Up until the end of World War II, they spanked everyone in that area. So, yeah, that'll be. They may. I remember that would be an existential threat to Japan, in which case you never know. But we yeah, I believe it was Bar S cheap hot dogs. Bar S. The I guess you should get the kosher hot dogs because those are. I've always eaten those and they don't make me sick. So, because I don't know what the hell Shad and Dominic are talking about, but it's something ugly in a hot dog, and all of a sudden I don't want hot dogs now. Y'all have ruined hot dogs for me, guys. You're killing me. Uh, Although that could backfire because then like all their nuclear plants can like contaminate China too. So hey Kiss Off, what's going on? So yeah, folks, the movie is They're Monsters on Maple Street. They did a remake of the 1960s version. I cannot find it, which is frustrating. So but you can find the videos. Let me see if I can find it here. It is no, not The Real Martian. Damn it. Uh there's one called The Shelter. I'm going to put it in here. And the other one's called Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. And I would do the 1960s version. They did make a remake in the 90s. The remake was not badly done, but the original had the original guy, the narrator, and that guy had that 1950s and today, and absolutely. And you know what? It touches on a lot of topics, including prepping, panic, geopolitics, racism, people suddenly then trying to behave differently because they made bad choices and you didn't. Hey, Klingon. Oh, hey, Shorty. Sorry. Um, so yeah, folks. Haley, the safest make you wrong. Oh yeah. Well, homemade venison sausages are the best because they'll mix like fresh pig with the venison to give it that juiciness, and you get that 50-50 or 70-30 blend. But at least that's that's about as short a supply chain as you get. From you provide deer, he provides pig, and that person makes you a sausage and you take it home. Like that's it. That goes from A to B. That's it. No 15 different stops along the way of our supply chain. So in any case, folks, yeah, I would encourage all of you to go and check out some of those videos. It's a fun watch. And I don't know what temperature it is for you guys. It's about 40 degrees here. I'm about to head to that gun show. Sassy ran off. She had to run some errands. So when she's back, we're going to pack and go. But folks, keep an eye on how this plays out and then run scenarios. This is great material for scenario runs, right? What if the balloon was an EMP? How would you handle the first 48 hours? What if the flying car UFO, whatever the fuck it was, what if it attacked the refineries and screwed up the energy sector? What would that do to you personally? Like, how would that affect your area, your costs, etc., and how would you handle it? Run those scenarios in your head. If you have someone to run them with, even better. So, but folks, yeah, long pig and macaroni. Oh, that's so bad. Ugh. Anyway, I'm craving sausage. I'm telling you, everyone's hungry now. Well, hell, it's almost. I was up at 4:45 thanks to Princess Fluffy over here and her little brother Bork Bork. Um, woke my ass up, and now they are. Oh, there you go. 2 potatoes. The girls are passed out down there. So, um, any case, guys, take care of yourselves. Try to help each other out. And again, everything you hear should be a source of information and something to role play, right? Scenario that stuff. What if? How would I react? And if you're going to react a certain way, do you have what you need to do what you think you need to do? And then that might guide your purchases, your budgeting, your training. So, Fluffy and Bork Bork. Yeah, well, Bentley's nickname, according to Mom, is now Bork Bork because when he wants attention, he runs up to you and he doesn't bark. He goes, Bork, but it's really deep. and you know, startles the hell out of everyone, and you're like, what the hell? And he just sits there and looks at you like, yeah, chorizo. You know, I have tortillas, I have eggs, and I have bacon. I might just make myself a taco. At least one of mine is definitely overweight. They're they're supposed to be thinner. That's because they're supposed to work. Mine don't. They fight with each other, which is what keeps them in shape. Hold on, just to leave you with something fun. I'm gonna leave you with a. Let me see if this guy will play. Let me get this video up quick, and I will leave you with this one. This is what they're supposed to do. He does use force voice. So this is in theory what they're bred to do. They're border collie in the core thing them. He's young too. He's not sure. Get him. Get him. You're what? You be quick, these little dogs are. Now you hear the crying, that's actually another dog that wants to go into the pen. By the way, they exhibit that behavior in the yard. Oh. Yeah, he got him across the field. He wants to keep going. He's like, I will chase them more. They do. Actually, it freaks the sheep out because they're low to the ground like a predator would be, and they have a very deep bark. So look at that. He's having a blast. So I thought I'd share that one with you because that's always fun to watch. But yeah, they apparently that's what they do. You get a border collie and you get 2 or 3 corgis to go with it. And the corgis basically keep the herd moving forward. And if one runs off, the border collie brings it back. And there they go. So anyway, y'all be safe, be careful out there. I thought I'd leave you something fun to watch at the end of that. And yeah, pay attention to what's going on. This is great information for us to make better decisions every time we see it. So until next week, God bless, Godspeed, and y'all be careful out there. I'll see you later.